All right. So this is Xcode 12, right? It's if you guys have already like explored it, the canvas looks slightly different. There's slightly different formatting. I made the font a little bit bigger so you guys could see it. And then there's like new tabs. So that's just like a convenience thing where you could do it. Sorry, one sec. Okay. And so like usually you just like keep adding more and more tabs. This is a canvas and you can just close that as well. But a good thing about this is if you were to click onto, if I were to close this one, so I don't see both of the files, if I were to click on something else, usually, right, if you have multiple tabs, it depends. It'll give you a new tab that you can look at. I can actually like keep this tab open, and then when I switch to a new one, I can go back and forth between the two tabs. So that's just like something new in Xcode 12 if any of you guys wanted to upload that, update it. So the thing that we didn't touch on last week, also if you guys have any questions, just like tell me, just like unmute yourself and tell me because
a question just popped in.
Yeah, I think so.
For the
Yeah, so for Xcode 11, you can get Xcode 11. The newest one is Xcode 12. If you were to get Xcode 11, you can use Xcode 11.7 now. So yeah, it really depends. If you, just like Xcode 11 is the older version, it still has the same capabilities, just there are a few new things here that's like a lot more convenient. So yeah, it's up to you. You'll still be able to test everything and code everything, so that's fine. Yeah, so if you have any questions, just like pop out, unmute yourself, and then yeah, because I'll have to like constantly check the chat if I were to see it all. So the thing that we didn't go over last week is how to make branches. Well, we talked about it briefly, but we didn't actually like go over exactly what to do. So if you were to see here, if you were to clone the project that we had in the repository last week, then you would see this. This is the first screen that you would get to, the content view, which should, I'll show you guys what it should look like. Canvas is just this automatic builder that you could see everything that you change automatically on the side. So while it's building, so origin means that you have it connected with GitHub, the remote repository in GitHub called Dementia App, which is in the Neuroscience Amateur Valley organization. In order to create a new branch, you would just go here and go branch from master. So I'll create a new branch. You can always delete branches. But for this one, let's call it home page, right? And then if I were to create it, it'll show up right here. And now I'm on the current one. You won't be able to see the, like you might, I don't know if you can see this, it might be a bit small, but there's a ... right next to it, and it should say current, which means you're currently on, oh yeah, right here. It says you're currently in this branch. So when you do source control and when you, let's say commit, right? I don't have any files that are changed right now. So if you don't have any changed files, you can't actually commit or push it up to GitHub. But if you were to have it, they'll show up on the side and you can check mark which ones you want to actually commit. And if you see here, when you push to GitHub, you have to click this one that says push to remote. Otherwise, you would only be, committing the files. But if you do push to remote, you'll see that it says commit files and push. And here, if you were to create a new branch, you would see homepage create next to it. So that shows you that you did it correctly. You created a new branch, and then you would push your files into that new branch called homepage for this instance. Do you have any questions so far? Let me just check the chat. Yeah, nothing in the chat.
It's just like your audio went out a couple times, but was it 11 or 12?
12 is the newest one. 11 is just like a few versions older than 12. So 12 has like just like a few things new to it, like tabs and everything. But technically, they're really the same thing. They do the same thing. You can still test your code. You can still code, right? So it really is up to you. Right? I would suggest doing Xcode 12 just because it's like the newest one.
Okay. Yeah, I have 12, so I was like confused. I'm like, oh, was I supposed to not update it? And yeah.
Oh no, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I actually didn't even mean to update my computer, did it for me, but it's the official version anyways. So as long as you guys don't have the beta one, you're set. Yeah. All right. So we can go back here. And as I showed you guys last week, it says first view here, but if I were to change it to second, it should show up in the side canvas as well. Yeah. So do you guys have any more questions? This just like got a new look and feel to Xcode 12. So this might look a little different if you guys still have the older one, Xcode 11. But other than that, it should be the same. And I think I mentioned last week, the blue just means that you have changes. So if you didn't want your change, you can always discard it. And if you wanted to show the change, it'll show you the old version of it, the one that you actually changed. So I'll just like discard the change. Yeah. Any questions? Are you good? Well, I think the chat has a few things. Oh, okay. Yeah. So for that, it's not Xhub, it's Xcode. Xcode is the platform that we'll be coding with. GitHub is the online one where everyone can collaborate to get together. That's where all the software developers actually collaborate. And if you were to search up online any code that you would want to use, you'd often find it in GitHub because it can also be open source. And our repository that we'll be committing and pushing, or will be pushing to, is also open and public as well. So anyone who is to who searches things up will be able to see it. Yeah. So it's not, you don't download Xhub, it's Xcode that you download, and you can just sign up for GitHub if you guys weren't here for the last meeting.
Yeah, but to download it, you would go to the Apple's developer website, and if you have a Apple ID, you sign in and go to downloads, and then you can go into, and then you would find the different things you can download from there.
Yes. Yes. All right. So like while you're editing and things, I also mentioned it last week, but you'll see that there's like an M just means modified. Other ones, if you were to add a new file, it shows an A. If you have a question mark, it means you haven't actually committed it or pushed it yet. So you would probably want to do that. And yeah, I think that's it.
So right now, this is what you guys should be looking at right now. If you've cloned the repository from GitHub, and we currently have a first view, right? The screen says first view, and then you have the tab items below that say first, second. What we're going to do is we're just going to, in the content view section, we're going to just have the tabs, right? And so I think, Ellie, we don't need the selection. We can just have the tab view and then have the tab items in there. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do is can I create a new file first, actually? So I'm going to create a new file. And so I'm going to create a new file, and then we're going to create a new, there it is. Okay. And then when you create a new file, you want to create a new SwiftUI view. And so you're going to press next, and then you want to save your SwiftUI view generally as something that that is like indicative of what you're actually going to put on that Swift file, right? And so in this case, we can put so I'm thinking we're going to make the home page, right? So we can name it home view, right? And so we're going to create that. It's going to pop up. And right now we have really basic, so this is Canvas. And right now it's just going to say hello world, because that's all we have in our body right now. And it takes a little bit of time to load. So it just says hello world right now. And basically what this is right here, this text, if you guys are familiar with maybe Java, you know that anything in double quotation marks is strings. So text in SwiftUI can take strings and it can display it on the actual user interface. And so right here we have text hello world, and it just displays it right there. But if we wanted to have like a different message, like I don't know, like just hello instead of hello world, it would update to include that in Canvas. And so right now, why don't we, so one of the things we learned about over the summer was geometry reader. So SwiftUI works, so geometry reader. So we're going to include geometry reader. And actually, when you include an open bracket, it automatically does a closed bracket for you. So you guys don't have to worry about that. Oh yeah, and then you have to include geometry in. And basically what this geometry reader does, rather than having to, actually, let me explain some of the more basic concepts first. So if we have text, right? If we have text, let's say hello, and then we can actually move the text. So if we want to do like dot offset underneath the text, it's going to ask for, I believe, an X. So X30. So it's going to offset it a little bit from the middle, right? So it's going to do text hello dot offset X30, right? So it's going to offset a little from the middle. But what geometry reader does instead is that if you have like text that you specifically want to go a certain length of the screen, so we can refer to like the height of the screen as the height, right? And then the width of the screen as the width. And so it makes, geometry reader makes it a little bit easier because instead of just having the text like hello and using dot offset, we can do like, we can sort of do like dot frame. And then we can do, like if we wanted to adjust the frame a little bit and we wanted to make it wider so that it took up a bit more of the screen, because we can see that the frame now is just surrounding hello, right? So if we do width, oops, sorry, geometry dot size dot width, and then we did times 0.1. That's going to expand the width. So you can see the width, or it's not going to expand it. Okay, let's do 0.2. Sorry about that.
You've basically shrunk the width of the frame for the text box so
Yeah.
that it's 0.2 of the width of the screen that you're currently on. So geometry.size is different for every single, I guess, like device that you're working with. So right now, Jacob's on the iPhone SE. If you were to look at the iPhone 11 or the iPhone, I believe it's like 8 Max or something, they have different sizes. So like they would show up different ways, but most of the time it's proportional. If it works correctly, yeah.
Right. So it makes it really useful when you want to program like an app across different devices, right? So it's like it maintains its structure. It doesn't, so it won't look as weird if you're to like have it on an iPhone 6 compared to like an iPhone 8, something like that. And then so if I did geometry dot size dot height times 0.6, you'll see that the height will change as well, and so it will take up a larger area than it did previously. So
one good thing about this is there is no need for semicolons. Like if you have worked with Java before, you know that you often like forget about it. And so the good thing about it is that you don't have it in SwiftUI here.
Right. That's very true. I'm going to try and expand my editor a little bit, just so it's like sometimes it gets like a little like clunked up in there. So I'm going to expand it a little bit. And so that's how you have text, and you have text in that's how you put text in your app. But there's also things called spacers. So if I put a spacer right here, you'll see that hello is going to move. Oh, sorry. Okay, let me talk about H stacks and V stacks first. So basically, what a V stack is. So I'm going to place this in a V stack. Sorry. So what a V stack is so you have text right here, right? And then if you place another text, like text world, right? What a V stack is going to do is, since these are two separate texts, it's going to stack the text on top of each other. So V stack, if I were to explain a V stack, you stack V stacks stack them vertically. H stacks, they put them side by side. And I think the maximum amount of items you can put in a V stack is 10,
10.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes, 10.
Yeah.
So if you were to go beyond 10, you would have to create something else.
Yeah.
And also, it's always not very good practice to have so many items inside one group anyways. So you should probably restructure your code if it does get to that. And just a thing for you guys to remember: V stack, vertical stack, H stack, horizontal stack. Such as something easy to remember.
Yeah, very true. They made that easier on us. So like if I put a V stack and then I put an H stack, right? So if I put H stack here, let's say I put, and then make sure you guys are keeping track of your like open and close curly braces, because you can see that it's easy to lose track of where like it opens and closes. And so you can see that H stack opens and closes here. It only has the text hello in there. So if I added another another text item into, into the H stack, then it would have it side by side to the hello. So have it to the right side of the hello. So if I hello world here, or just world actually, it should show up to the right of hello. And so that's the main basics of how V stacks and H stacks work. So now let's move on to navigation view. So I'm going to comment all of this out.
One thing I just want to say, so if you were to be working on this while Jacob's teaching you guys, one thing to make your work, or I guess like line of code, less cramped, you can close a lot of the things on the side. If you were to close like the navigation on the side, in the upper right corner, you'll see like the blue icon. Yeah, that one that Jacob just pressed, it'll close that. It's kind of like the table of contents for your code. And then there's also the one on the very right. It just closes all the things on the side that can help you while you're coding. You can just like add things there. But we'll be mainly using like actual code, because if you were to look at the text portion of it, you'll see that you can change the font or the font weight. You can change it there without actually typing in any code, but we'll just be typing in the code all the time. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. So actually, I want to go over that really quick. So I think if it's command click, because I'm assuming you all have Macs. So if you do command and then you click on text, then you can click on text and then you can do show SwiftUI inspector, and you can like change the font. Like if you want a large title for hello, now it displays like hello in bigger fonts, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of an easier way to modify it.
What Jacob was just doing is also the same as what you see on the right column with all like the text font padding frame and all that stuff. Yeah, and if you also wanted to close other things, like right in the middle of the screen, there's also like this scroll view. So you could close that if you didn't want to see it. I always have it closed, but it's up to you guys. Just like more space if you were to close things.
That's true. That's true. Okay. And sorry, I'm going to go over one more thing with H stacks and V stacks. So V stacks, if you have parentheses after V stack, and you want to if you want to have all of the elements of a V stack lining up on the left, right? So you would, there's actually, you can put alignment in these parentheses, and then you can do dot leading. And so when you do dot leading, it's going to try to align all of the elements in the VStack so that their frames are lined up on the left. So you kind of see how world over here shifted a little bit to the left. So that's what alignment dot leading is. And then I believe the other one is dot trailing. And if you do dot trailing, then it's going to go to the right. And all of the elements, so this H stack and this text world, their frames will line up on the right.
Yeah, that's particularly useful with the dot leading and dot trailing when you want to put the cancel and submit buttons. If you were to say, if you were to code that part of it, like when you have the pop-up and you can cancel and dismiss that view. So that's particularly useful when you have stuff like that.
Right. Okay, so now I'm going to comment all of that out. And let's move on to the navigation view and the navigation link. So when you put in a navigation view, right? So what a navigation view basically is within the navigation view, oh, okay. Sorry, the Zoom meeting will end in 10 minutes, it says. So I'm going to hurry up and talk a little bit faster. So the navigation view is, for the purpose we're using it for, is so that you can create like a row of buttons, and your row of buttons will lead to a different page, right? So let me pull up these Swift files over here. So if I was to create a new file like symptoms.swift file, right? The purpose of the navigation view is so that we can have a button, and that button will navigate to, let's use content view as an example. That button will navigate to content view, right? Although we would not do that. We would create a new file and it would go to that file. So that's the purpose of a navigation view. But there's also navigation links that we'll actually use to create the buttons. So let's create a VStack really quick so that we can have all of these buttons in here. And basically what we're going to do, so we're going, actually I'm going to have the alignment, leading, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a navigation link with destination of content view. So when you're calling a certain view, you're going to have to put the parentheses after the name of the file, just like it says here, because this is what's actually displaying the file. So this will redirect you to the view. And so if we wanted to, in our navigation link, if we wanted to have like an H stack, and this is like sort of, wait, what errors is it giving me? I think it's just because I don't have anything in here. But anyways, in the
it'll give you errors if you don't have anything within like a text view. But you don't have to worry about that, because if you do it correctly, then afterwards you'll have everything correct. So
right. Actually, I'm going to close this really quick.
Also, just saying, we do have only like a few minutes, like 7 minutes left. So we're not going to finish the homepage today. We'll just be talking about like the basics for it, like just like the navigation link and getting the buttons started. We won't have everything created.
Yes, that is very true. I'm trying to fit it all in, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So within the H stack, so this is like the actual button you're creating with the H stack, right? There's an app called SF Symbols. And so within image, like if we wanted to create an image, we can do image and then system name. And then within system name, let's say we want to have like daily symptoms, right? And you want to have like a thermometer in the daily symptoms button. So you have thermometer, and SF symbols comes with a bunch of different symbols that you can just call on by stating image and then system name and then a colon and then whatever the name of the picture is. So in this case, a thermometer will bring up a thermometer. And then I'm not going to
Sorry, if you see it's already updated in the canvas.
yes.
So yeah, SF symbols is just something that Apple provides as like a resource bank for all the images, like the standard ones that they use.
Yeah, right. And I'm not going to like change the size of it right now because we're running a little bit short on time. So after the image, you can add text, right? Since this is an HStack and the text will show up right next to, right next to the thermometer. So we could do like daily symptoms, right? And then if we do that, text should show up. You'll have daily symptoms. And yes, and I believe if you press the play button.
Yes, notice how it's blue because now it's within a navigation link. So that link will navigate you to the destination content view.
Yes, so so as you can see, when you press daily symptoms, it will take you to the content view because you've listed it as your destination within the navigation link.